The last video that I made on Facebook, I was just basically saying how there's so many people who are claiming to know the Lord, but they ain't saying nothing. You know, they're not saying nothing. Jesus said we will do greater works. Those who are on Facebook and all these other different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, we're to be witnesses for Jesus Christ. But I don't see people talking. I hear these little truthers, but these people don't know God. There should be people crying loud and sparing not, lifting up their voices like a trumpet, showing the people their sins and the transgressions and letting them know what they must do to be saved. I'm not hearing this stuff, especially within my Facebook community. I see a lot of people talking about they know the Lord, but ain't nobody saying nothing. And I also mentioned that something is brewing. I can just sense it in the spiritual realm. Something is brewing. Something is about to happen. You all notice how you've been getting these robocalls? Yeah, it happened in the past, but not like it is now. It's like you can get probably up to 15 to 20, and some of them are like back to back. And you look at how hot it is. It's like a different type of heat. And then you look at all these different storms. Now, the reason why I said something is brewing, they up to something. Because they got this thing called problem, reaction, solution. And I'll let y'all listen to a little quick video about them explaining it. But it is how the problem, reaction, solution paradigm works. One, the government creates or exploits a problem, then attributes blame to others. Now, with these robocalls, they're going to be telling you that the scammers are, and everybody is getting like just with this. Two, the populace reacts by asking the government for protection and help to solve this problem. I see people talking about what can we do? What can we do to stop it? I'm so irritated. They call all different times. And see, the thing is, with me being retired and I don't go anywhere, whenever I see them calling, I don't care who it is. If I don't recognize the number, I answer it and then I hang it up. So that way they're not leaving voicemails. If it's somebody that I know or somebody who wants to get in contact with me, you better leave me a text message or something, because I answer it and then I hang it up. So that way they're not leaving voicemails. Because if you just let it go to voicemail, by the end of the day, you're going to have like 30 voicemails. And it's like worse. So people are like, especially these older people with their landlines and they just, it's like it's driving people crazy. All you got to do is pull it up on social media and you just see how people are complaining about these calls. I know I'm definitely getting them, a lot of them too, even on Sundays, up to like 9 o'clock at night. So they create the problem. And then the populace reacts by asking the government for protection and to help solve the problem. 3, the government offers the solution that was planned by them long before the crisis occurred. This is what they are known for doing. They've always did this. It's the reason for the wars. It's the reason for 9/11, which was an inside job. It's the reason for COVID. It's the reason for all these different plagues and outbreaks. so that they can get the technology on the inside of your bodies and give you more vaccines to depopulate the earth. I mean, I'm telling y'all, uh this world is terrible. And again, this is why God says, come out of her, my people. And I'm telling the people on YouTube, because I believe most of them are Caucasian. And these Caucasian people, they love America. And they act like they don't realize that America is a part of the world that the Lord is telling us to come out of. And I've been warning them on YouTube, y'all got to give up America. Talking about this your country and how patriotic you are. They've fallen for all of the different scams. And one of the huge scams is right now, this little guy that was voted in as mayor of New York, which he could be Epstein's son, because it shows pictures with him as a little boy and his mom. They taking pictures with Epstein. They all on the island. This could be Epstein's son, so he's a part of it. So now he's acting like he's bringing in all these socialist ideas. And right now, the people who love America, no, we're not going to a socialist. And so they look into Trump to solve you got to give up America. You're going to be easily deceived if you're still holding on to America and saying America is your country. You love America. You're patriotic. You got to turn it loose. It's a part of the world. And if you don't, if you die in your sins, you're going to hell. Because God already told you to come out of her. A friend of the world is an enemy of his. If you live and go through and miss the rapture, which you will miss the rapture, you're going to go through the tribulation, and it's not promised that you're going to come out of it. So everything they're doing right now, everything they have done is to just use the people and to manipulate people. That's all war was about, was to just manipulate the people and to control the people. And I'm going to show you all where they got this Iron Mountain report, because they always wanted to one day have peace. And their whole purpose for war was to manipulate and to control the people and get their way. When they want to get something, they'll use war. America don't have no enemies. Nobody was bothering America. America created all the problems that we see around the world is started by America. All these other countries that have civil war, America has her hand involved in that. So they always use war to manipulate the people and to get their way and to control the useless eaters, as they call us, and get us on board with them going and attacking these other governments and these other nations. So in that Iron Mountain report, they're trying to see what it would be, what would it take to come to this peace that they want. So in order for them to come to this peace, they believe that they must have full control over the people. And in order for them to come to this peace, it must be socialism. So you see where this guy, this mayor of New York, all of a sudden he's on the scene now with this whole socialist thing. And Trump is supposed to be fighting against him. No, they are all in this together. This is why you must come out of America. You can't see that they're all in on it together. If you are flag waving, patriotic, loving America type person, you don't see it, because you don't want socialism in your country. You've been deceived. So they're all in on it. Even Bernie Sanders is in on it. And that Iron Mountain report, they're trying to see what will it take for them to come to this peace, to end the war, the whole manipulating the people and controlling the people and all of this. What would it take for them to come to peace? And anybody who hasn't read or even listened to the Iron Mountain report, just go on YouTube and pull it up. They say that it's a hoax, but I don't believe it's a hoax. I believe it's real. Because one of the things they mention is that the United Nations needed a police force in order to bring about this peace. And I believe that peace police force is Trump's board of peace. Trump just recently said that all of the people that on his board of peace, they are exempt from any persecution. So that means they get to do what they want to do. I believe this is the police force that they said that the United Nations needed a police force to enforce this peace. This is one of the things they needed to do. And all of this is in that Iron Mountain document. So you all can go and check that out if you choose to. Again, they did 9/11 was all a part of the problem, reaction, solution. They create the initial problem, manage the public reaction, and then they sell the pre-planned solution. Weapons of mass destruction. We got to stop these terrorists. This is why we need to go in Iraq and just take down. Yeah. Y'all don't think, see, the thing is, people don't think that these people are this ruthless to kill their own people, but yes, they are. They've always done that. Listen.
Georg Hegel was a German philosopher who came up with a basic system for achieving the goals of the Illuminati called the Hegelian dialectic. This system is based on 3 steps. In step 1, a rogue government will create the problem that harms or even kills its own citizens. This deception is known as a false flag attack. In step 2, a rogue government will control the reaction to the problem which it created by typically blaming it on an enemy or some aspect of its own society over which it seeks more control. This is why the term false flag attack is so named. In step 3, a rogue government will offer the solution to the problem which it created. This solution is typically a war or a system of regulations. The solution would usually not be accepted by the public had the rogue government not created the crisis and controlled the reaction to it in the first place. A government which seeks increasing control can keep pushing society to accept its agenda by following a series of problems, reactions, and solutions which it planned all along. The significance of the Hegelian dialectic is not how evil it is, but rather how often governments choose to follow it. There has not been a major war in the 20th and 21st centuries that does not follow the Hegelian dialectic.
Now, back to the robocalls. Now, I believe, just like they said, problem, reaction, solution. The solution is something they've always wanted from day one. This is why they create a problem. Now, digital IDs. A lot of people are saying they don't want digital IDs. Now, what if they told you that, with the digital IDs, we can make these robocalls, things like robocalls and all of these other things that irritate you and make you sick. We can make this stuff go away. How many people are not going to jump on that? You see how intense these robocalls have gotten? I've never seen it like this. I've never seen it like this. I mean, it is like, it's heavy. I noticed that. I was like, wow, it's like off the charts. And then I was like, something is up. It's something they're doing. They're creating a problem. They're going to get a reaction, and then they're going to come out with the solution. So the solution is always going to be something that they wanted day one, but they knew most people wouldn't want to do it. But if they get you irritated enough, like with these robocalls, you're going to beg for it. And this is how people are going to fall for what they're doing. Now, with this whole thing about this New York mayor, who his mom was close with Epstein, and they got a picture with him as a little boy. And a lot of people believe that's Epstein's son. I don't know, but I know his mother knew him. And I believe all of these people are in this thing together. Bernie Sanders, this little New York mayor, all of them. You don't come to power unless you're in on it. And I believe he's in on it. He's just acting like he's enemies with Trump. But it says New York City has approved a rent freeze for nearly 1 million rent stabilized apartments, marking one of the city's biggest housing policy changes in years. The freeze fulfills a campaign promise by the mayor and is expected to provide immediate relief for the millions of tenants facing rising living costs. Supporters say the move will help families remain in their homes during affordability crisis. This is how you can tell something is up. Now, this is what Trump said. Trump blasts the Democratic Socialist primary winners as godless communists, calling them the most serious threat to America in 250 years. That's why I believe this whole 4th of July thing, something is up. The president took aim at the New York City mayor after the city's rent guidelines board voted to freeze rents for the first time in history. Trump warned the policy would turn buildings into ghettos and slums and drive residents out of New York. It's like wrestling, WWF. They go back and forth and they play these games. But again, in order for them to get this peace that they're talking about, the whole world must turn to socialism. It must be a socialist world where they give you everything. They say you will own nothing and you will be happy. And this stuff is about to happen. I'm talking about the big win for socialists and the mayor and the Democratic primaries. All of this stuff is staged. Problem. Reaction. I see some of these so-called Christian truthers on YouTube talking about this mayor is going to take us into socialism. See, loving America. Loving America. Loving America. America is the world that God says that you shouldn't love the world. This is how you all are going to be deceived. You ain't got no business loving America. You don't. You should be just like the 3 Hebrew boys, how Daniel was. They was looking forward to going home to Jerusalem. And us as saints, we should be looking forward to going to the New Jerusalem. We're not concerned about this whole socialist. We're not concerned about this stuff. But when you love the world, you're concerned about it. And I see a lot of so-called Christians concerned about this new socialist move and what it's going to do to their country. You're going to be left behind. If you die in your sins, you're on your way to hell. Get mad as you need to get. Then they talking about it's about to be a major heat wave. And it is. They've been controlling the weather for years. It's not a conspiracy. Just like they control everything else and has been for decades. They've been hiding it within the technology. This heat wave that's coming to hit half of the country, it's already affected other parts of the world. It is. Look at the earthquakes. The earthquakes are still going on. See, this is how they got to sell you with this whole climate thing. You know, they create the problem with the heat waves and the fire, wildfires and the floods and all of this stuff. They create the problem. They get the people to react, and then they give you the solution. We got to do something about climate change. And they already said that man is why the climate is changing. So we got to do something about man. The useless eaters, the bottom feeders, us. They got to do something about us. And this will all be inside of your digital IDs, your carbon footprint, how far you can go, how far you can travel. See, it's our fault that the climate is changing, is what they're saying. So this is why we see all of this stuff happening. There's too much stuff going on right about now. They're getting ready to do something. Now, in this, some of the things they were saying in this Iron Mountain report, its objective was to determine accurately and realistically the nature of the problems that would confront the United States if and when a condition of permanent peace should arise. Peace equals world socialism. And draft a program for dealing with the contingency. Now, this program that they came up with was in the Iron Mountain report. Again, they came out with that report to see how would they come about this peace and how would it affect the world when they did do it. So they said, program, agenda, how do we control the people of America if we move to an era of peace? See, they need to control the people. The reason for war was to control the people, to manipulate the minds of the people. So when they come to this era of peace, they need to know, how do we control the people of America if we move to an era of peace? If they stop these wars that they actually caused. Once we stop the wars that we caused, okay, now what are we going to do to control the people when we come into peace? Now, if you read that Iron Mountain report, I mean, it's going to blow your mind. Or either you can just pull it up and listen to it, because it's got like, I think it's like 75 pages or something like that. But it actually tells you that that it must, in order to have peace, it must be socialism. Peace equals world socialism. And see, this is why you see this little mayor. Now he's come on the scene to do his thing, to do his part. And Trump is going to act like he's going to fight it or whatever. But just like they said, peace would equal world socialism. And part of their peace, they said the United Nations must come up with a peace police to enforce the peace. And this is what I believe Trump's Board of Peace will be. They will enforce this peace. And this is how they're going to control the people, through this Board of Peace, which is the peace police. And this is why Trump just gave some kind of order or whatever, saying that the people on the Board of Peace, that they are exempt from any persecution. Why would he say that all of a sudden now? Because they're getting ready to come into their golden era of peace. And in order for them to have that peace, they must have full control over the useless eaters, the people. This is what Trump's Board of Peace is. It is the peace police that the people at Iron Mountain said the UN must have in order for them to come into their golden age of peace. It says Trump's Board of Peace plans to grant itself sweeping immunity. That means they can do what they want. See, that's the peace police. This is how they're going to control the people. And you notice most of these people that are joined, all of them, they belong to the United Nations. But this Board of Peace is that police, the peace police, that's going to, with a stiff arm, rule the people. And the Word of God says, with peace he shall destroy many. And if you notice, Trump is the chairman of this Board of Peace, this peace police, as they say in the Iron Mountain report. Trump is the chairman. And the Word of God says, by peace he shall destroy many. But through this peace, they need to have full control over the people. And part of that that Iron Mountain report, in order for them to get this peace, they must have disarmament. Disarmament, you know what that means? They're going to get them weapons. I don't know how they're going to go about it, but they're going to get those weapons. They're going to get those weapons. And this is why the Word of God says, by peace he shall destroy many. The peace police, these will be the Board of Peace. These will be the peace police that Trump got, that's going to handle the useless eaters. They got to force this peace. See, they can't use, war to manipulate. They're trying to get away from war to an era of peace. So since they can't use war to manipulate and control the people anymore, and they want to come to peace, they need the peace police to billy club the people to bring about the peace, since they don't want to use war anymore. Now, with this whole Iron Mountain report, now, if you look it up, they said it was a hoax because one of the 15 people that was a part of these meetings that they were having, he actually, they always have a whistleblower, and that's God's way of exposing these things. God said there's nothing hidden that won't be exposed. They went into like a nuclear place. That's why it's called Iron Mountain. They went somewhere and hid. I think they went to different places, but Iron Mountain was a place that they would go if a nuclear war was to happen. They wouldn't be attacked there or whatever. But God said there's nothing hidden that won't be exposed. But they said that when this man leaked the Iron Mountain reports, they came out and said it was a hoax immediately. But I don't believe it was a hoax. Now, they said the Kennedy administration ordered a top secret study to determine the problems facing the United States if the world moved from an era of war to a golden age of peace. Here, Trump always talking about the golden age. By 1963, the selection of specialists had been made. The final study group consisted of 15 experts in various academic disciplines selected for their expertise in their respective fields. Their first and last meetings were held at an underground nuclear survival retreat called Iron Mountain. This study was concluded in 1966. President Lyndon Johnson gave the order that the report was never to be released. And I always believe Lyndon Johnson had President Kennedy killed. So President Kennedy wanted this report done, but Lyndon Johnson gave the order that the report was never to be released due to the nature of the conclusions reached. One of the men involved in this study elected to release it to the public at great risk to himself under the name of John Doe. It was published in 1967 by Dial Press. The establishment promptly renounced it as a hoax, and they say it is not a hoax. Iron Mountain is now hard to obtain, but many large libraries still have copies of it. This report looks deep into the soul of the New World Order. Iron Mountain is the covert agenda to bring the world and America under the control of the United Nations. The conclusions reached are now being implemented upon the American people without their knowledge or consent. As this documentary is called A Blueprint to Tyranny. You can look that up as well, which really explains the Iron Mountain report. It says, as this documentary will provide beyond all doubt, what you are about to see and hear is real. It is very disturbing, but it is real. It is dangerous beyond belief, but it is real. It is frightening yet real. No person in America is safe because in spite of all the denials of authorities, it is real, and these plans are coming to pass. This report will show you how the rich men of the earth are operating and why you will now understand why America is changing into a facet police state. You will understand why all federal law enforcement agencies will soon be merged into one federal police force called the MJTF Police. I don't know what that means. I don't even think, maybe they gave that, what that meant in the, in this documentary, but I don't remember hearing it. I need to listen to it again. But he said the police force will be called MJTF Police. And I actually believe that's Trump's Board of Peace that he just gave immunity to from any prosecution. There is no regard for ethics, morality, religion, or life in this report. It is a look into the soul of Lucifer the Antichrist, long foretold by Jesus Christ, who in his love for mankind warned us 2,000 years ago about this warning. It is now here. Now, I'm going to let you all listen to some of this report from this documentary called Tyranny, the Tyranny Blueprint. Check it out.
This report is something you would never believe unless you read it. But you also have to understand the mindset of the government that requested it. And that is one of the most important features of this video. The objective was to determine accurately and realistically the nature of the problems that would confront the United States if and when a condition of permanent peace should arrive. This is one of the key elements of the report, because we are to go under the Antichrist system, an era of supposed peace. And this is what this whole program was about. If and when a condition of permanent peace should arise, that means that peace in reality equals world socialism, as we will find out as we journey through this report. And they were to draft the program for dealing with this contingency. In other words, this is a planned situation. The program equals the agenda. And how do we control the people of America if we move to an era of peace? And not only just America, but the whole world at large. In 1961, Public Law 87-297 was passed, paving the way for the United States to be merged with the United Nations. It's a very crucial law in that it disarms the American citizen in violation of the clear intent of the Constitution, which calls for our right to bear arms to maintain our free state. And by the calling for the disarming of all Americans, of course, we lose our free state and we are submerged actually into a slave state. The disarming was to be done by a period of gradual disarmament, and as they were disarming, the United Nations would be built up with a powerful standing army. The evidence suggests a CFR-TC Bilderberg connection, the rich men of the earth, the merchants of Babylon, the killers of the just, according to the Holy Scriptures. The report concerns itself with a globalist agenda, and the conclusions reached have been advanced by these groups. Every one of the conclusions in the Iron Mountain report have been advanced by these groups: Committee of 300, the CFR, TC Bilderbergers, Royal Institute for International Affairs, Tavistock, your Club of Rome, United Nations. It goes on and on. Okay, it began back in 1950, actually. These hearings began to take place in the United States, and the calls for a world government were actually held in 1950. Here's a resolution in Congress that was considered and called for testimony, and it says to provide a true world government through the adoption of a world government constitution. It was a clear intent to place the United States directly under the United Nations and to scrap our Constitution. Universal peace is a prerequisite for the pursuit of that goal. and from the competitive anarchy of nation states. Therefore, the age of nations must end, and the era of humanity must begin. You will find there's a constant call for the merging of all humanity. Here's a resolution adopted in the United Nations. This is what it says: regulation, limitation, and balanced reduction of all armed forces and all armaments. The all armaments means your weapons that you have in your closet for your own defense. It includes handguns and rifles and all kinds of things. Here's your blueprint for world peace, which was issued also in 1961, concurrently as this move towards putting us under the United Nations. You'll find that as the United States and the Russian military are to be reduced, the UN is consistently brought up to a higher and higher position. The only thing we are left with are internal security forces. Under the Freedom from War, this is a packet issued by the federal government to go along with 87-297. This can only be achieved, the merging and disarmament, through the progressive strengthening of international institutions under the United Nations and by creating a United Nations Peace Force.
Trump's Board of Peace.
So they want to progressively strengthen the international institutions, all of which come under the United Nations.
Board of Peace.
We are to lose our sovereignty. This can only be achieved through the progressive strengthening. By creating a United Nations peace, which really means police force, to enforce the peace.
Trump's Board of
This
Peace.
is what Daniel said, and by peace the Antichrist shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the Prince of Princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. All right, back to the government report. The disbanding of all national armed forces and a prohibition of their reestablishment in any form whatsoever other than those required to preserve internal order and for contributions to a United Nations Peace Force.
Board of Peace.
They're bringing UN up to a point where no state would have the military power to challenge the progressively strengthened U.S. Peace Force, and all international disputes would be settled according to the agreed principles of international conduct.
Trump's Board of
That's
Peace.
exactly what the Bible says.
Y'all better
It was
listen.
given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. No one can make war with this
Trump's
final
Board of Peace.
world entity. If you will study your scriptures out, you will find that the United Nations fulfills every parameter listed for the Antichrist system.
Trump's Board of
And
Peace.
Public Law 87-297 has been updated. There are numerous updates. You will, if you go search them out, Public Law 101-216, for example, has been updated. Here's another one. I have today signed H.R. 1495, the Arms Control and Disarmament Amendment Acts of 1989. It authorizes the fiscal appropriations to get this thing underway. Now, the problem with it is the Bill of Rights and Amendment 2, the right to bear arms, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In other words, in reality, you cannot infringe that right in any way, method, or manner. The only way a people can remain free is to hold in their power the weapons necessary to secure their free state. This amendment deals with the international security of the United States from its own government. In other words, this amendment was to secure the people's freedom from their own government, from an internal government takeover. This right is not there so that you can go hunting or for the other excuses made. It is there to prevent the government of the United States from becoming a dictatorship by treason. In other words, by betrayal of the Constitution of the United States. Now, in order to merge the United States into the United Nations requires a total betrayal of the Constitution, which guarantees you a free state through the right to bear arms.
Trump's Board of
You
Peace.
see the connection? The United Nations is a communist, illuminist, Masonic world dictatorship, and there are no freedoms, hence they have to get the guns to eliminate the free state nation guarantee in our Constitution. The Iron Mountain Report, then, is a report in reality on how to circumvent the Constitution of the United States. And in reality, it's a document of treason, of how the rich men of the earth are actually going to divert the attentions of the people away so they can get this done. The guidelines given by the government for the Iron Mountain Report: 1, military-style objectivity; 2, avoidance of any value assumptions; and 3, the inclusion of all relevant data. And this is a very important part of this report, is the avoidance of all value assumptions. This is what makes it so absolutely cold and inhuman. It is to be amoral. It is, as a computer is amoral. It deals in factual data. There is not any mercy. There's not any compassion. It doesn't deal in right or wrong, or what is good or evil. It is a report on the handling of men, women, children, and babies on the basis of herd or animal management without regard to any moral considerations whatsoever. It reduces people to objects. It reduces all humans to non-entities with no rights of self-determination, with no rights granted by the Creator, and with absolutely no rights under a Constitution. The Constitution has been effectively canceled by Iron Mountain. Now again, you'll find these resolutions coming up in Congress all the time that want to strengthen the United Nations, to establish an international criminal court, SJ
Trump's
32,
Board of Peace.
before the Congress and the Senate. The implementation of Agenda 21 and other Earth Summit agreements, which is all United Nations. Reagan called for the World Army. Clinton has approved a UN Army. You're seeing it on TV.
That's the World Army. Trump's Board of Peace.
War is required, the glue of the nation.
Now, like I said, that is called the blueprint for tyranny. And if you like, you can go and look that up. But again, that world's army, they said that the United Nations needed a peace police. That is Trump's Board of Peace. And again, he just made it where the members of the Board of Peace, they are exempt from any. Trump's Board of Peace plans to grant itself sweeping immunity. Why do you think he's doing this? He just did this on the 27th of June. Now, they saying that it hadn't come out yet, but, some people peeked at the documents and said, that it's being drafted. A draft solution seeks to shield board members from any kind of prosecution. Doesn't that sound like this would be the peace police that the Iron Mountain report said that the UN needed in order to bring about this peace, that the citizens needed to be controlled? And the word of God says, by peace he shall destroy many. Trump is the chairman forever on this Board of Peace. And again, I gotta say it. Those of you who love America, y'all got to come out of her, because y'all gonna be deceived. Because right now they playing some WWW style wrestling things with this mayor of New York and how he's bringing on all these socialist programs and Trump is going to fight him and stop him. No, that's wrestling tactics to keep you distracted. But no, they want this golden era of peace. Now, they say this Iron Mountain report was a hoax when this man leaked it out. No, I don't think it's a hoax. Not when they said that the United Nations needed a peace police who would be able to control the people. And Trump came out with this board of peace. He can't even explain to you what it is actually for. But he just granted them immunity. They're going to do whatever is necessary to control the people, to bring about their golden age of peace. In order for them to have peace, they must have full control over the people. And right now, again, you can see what they're doing. They're getting ready to bring these programs, with this whole climate change. All of this is going to be a part of the digital IDs. The fact that you're just getting bombarded with all of these robocalls. The digital IDs are going to stop all of that. See, right now, you got a lot of people saying they don't want digital IDs. But because of what they're doing with these robocalls, they're causing all of this havoc. People are going to beg for the solution. And the solution will be digital IDs. And the people that try to fight it and say that they don't want the digital IDs, you're going to be thrown into camps. This is why it's important now to come out of her, my people. Y'all don't want to miss the rapture. I'm telling you, it's going to be bad. And another thing I thought of, when the CEO from Nokia said that very soon, before 2030, that all of these devices will be on the inside of the bodies. So if your phone is ringing and you getting messages from these robocalls, 20 to 30 messages a day, even on weekends up to 9 o'clock at night, can you imagine when the devices go on the inside of your body, the different thoughts that you're going to be bombarded with? The word of God says in the book of Revelation, chapter 6, I believe it's verse 4, when it says, when that red horse comes forth, that they will kill one another. Can you imagine these thoughts? And they already got this voice of God technology, where it's already speaking to people. You see people doing these different murders and these so-called mass shootings and suicide thing. These people are hearing voices. They're already using the technology. So during the tribulation period, if you think you're being bombarded with robocalls now, imagine what's going to be going on in the inside of your bodies. Hearing voices telling you to just go ahead and kill yourself. Go kill such and such. This thing is real. And again, it's time to live holy. It's time to live holy, because if you still have any attachments to this world, meaning loving America, waving the flag, being a patriot, you're about to go through something, and you're not going to have any excuses, because God used me to warn you, to tell you, you got to cut off America. You got to cut this world off altogether. You got to give it up. This is how you're being deceived, and you can't even see it. Y'all take care.